Shalom Talmidim. I'm actually here at the mall, in the mall parking lot. My wife is in the store and I'm out walking the parking lot listening to a book, and a book that I'll talk about in a second, but it reminded me of something that I've been wanting to share with you to kind of expand a reflection that I included in a chapter a week or two ago for a word that is central in the Hebrew Bible and in Christian faith, and that's the name of the Lord, the Tetragrammaton, YHVH, and the word is unpronounceable, and I explained that in the textbook that the medieval Jewish monks who maintained the scrolls added the vowels of the word Adonai to those four letters in order to remind the person reading the text not to pronounce it according to the letters that are written, but to pronounce it according to the euphemism, which means my Lord. But Father Richard Rohr, if you're familiar with him, a Catholic priest, has written in the book The Naked Now about this word, the name of the Lord, YHVH, and he has pulled on, as he does in a lot of his writings, he's pulled on the history of Christian interpretation, particularly from the Jewish fathers, the desert fathers and mothers, the Christian mystical tradition, and suggests that the name of the Lord is a play on the letters that represent the sound of breath. And they are, of course, similar to, or the name of the Lord is a play on the verb to be, hey yod hey, which is the first word in the book of Jonah, Vayehi, and it was. And it becomes explicit in Exodus 3 when Moses asks the Lord, who are you? This is at the burning bush, and the Lord says, Ehyeh asher ehyeh, I will be whom I will be, or I am what I am who I am. And that Ehyeh is the first person imperfect form of the verb haya, to be, I will be. And so God is answering Moses' question about what is your name with a sort of answer that's not an answer. It reveals and conceals at the same time. I am who I am. You can't put a name on me. But I am breath. I am existence. And so the YHVH is a play, a word play on this verb to be. And similarly, it looks similar to the verb haya with a hate yod hey, which means to be alive. And so the divine name is a play on the very existence itself. And what Father Richard Rohr draws out is that it mimics the sound of breathing. So if you take just the letters, y, v, you can hear how YHVH is a kind of mimic of the sound of breathing. And Father Rohr says that every time you breathe, then, is a form, an act of prayer, that God is as close to you as your breath. And your first breath coming into the world, when the doctor slaps you in the back and you scream and you breathe, and your dying breath are acts of prayer, of devotion, of intimacy. The Psalms talk about God sending his breath and sustaining creation. Genesis 1, all of creation is the articulated breath of God. God continues to articulate his breath, to send his breath to sustain us moment by moment. Now comes to the book I was just listening to on Audible as I walked through the parking lot here. It's a book called Braiding Sweetgrass. It's written by a Potawatomi botanist poet, weaving indigenous and scientific ways of seeing the world together through a poetic imagination. The woman's name is Robin Wall Kimmerer. She has a chapter where she talks about, in the Potawatomi language, which is in some ways akin to the Hebrew language because they're both representing indigenous, ancient perspectives and worldviews. The Potawatomi language does not divide the world into masculine and feminine, but animate and inanimate. And so a hill, a rock, a place, a city, a mountain, even a day, a Saturday, all of those words are verbs. But she says the difference between an animate and inanimate would be created by humans. So if you look at a chair, you have to ask in Potawatomi, what is it? But an apple, you would say, who is that being? And the answer to the question, who is that being, you would say, an apple that being is. And the verb for is, or to be in Potawatomi, is Yahweh. An apple that being Yahweh. An apple that being is. And she reflects on the remarkable confluence between the ancient Israelite word for being, or the name for God, and the ancient Potawatomi verb to be. Both are represented in this word Yahweh, that to name the very existence of the source of existence itself is rendered through this use of the word Yahweh. And so to breathe is again to participate in this exchange between us and God, and that at every breath that is sent to us is a gift, an act on God's behalf to sustain us, and that we are sustained in the most literal possible way by the very breath and power and gift of God. And I just find this to be so compelling and beautiful, and it brings me into a greater sense of awareness of my own life, my own fragility, my own dependence on the gift of God moment to moment, and that every time I breathe, just my mere existence in this world is itself an act of prayer, is an act of worship. And so the invitation that the Hebrew language and the Potawatomi language offer to us is to raise our level of awareness so that we become aware in moment to moment that what we're doing is praying. What we're doing is offering our lives as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God, simply by the way we live, the posture we take towards our life, offering our life in gratitude on behalf of our neighbors. So I wanted to share that with you, and I hope it's an encouragement to you. Shalom, Talmidim.